Health's joined us as well, rather than Francis.
Good luck.
Tessa, is Tessa? Yes, Tessa's
Yes,
here.
I was there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
All right, if you're ready to go, I'll just look at Dave and... Yeah, off we go.
Right. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to North Tyneside Council's Planning Committee meeting. My name's Frank Lott, Councillor for Riverside Ward, and I'm Chair of the Planning Committee. This meeting's been streamed live on the Council's YouTube channel to enable members of the press and public to observe the meeting, and welcome to you all. Before we move on to the agenda, I would first like to make it clear who's participating in the meeting and explain how we intend to conduct the meeting. To make it clear who's in the meeting, I'd like to ask everyone present to confirm their attendance at the meeting. And in order to do this, I'll call out the names of the members of the committee. So after I call your name, could you please turn on your microphone and camera and introduce yourself so we can be sure that you can be seen and heard. And then can you turn your microphone and camera off, please? Has Ken Barry joined us? Councillor Brady.
Councillor Trish Brady, Deputy Chair of the Committee.
Thank you. Councillor Burdis.
Councillor Brian Burdis, Valley Ward.
Councillor Dark.
Councillor Linda Dark, Lynworth Ward.
Thank you. Councillor Graham.
Thank you. Councillor Sandra Graham from Whitley Bay Ward.
Thank you. Councillor Green.
Councillor Muriel Green, Wheatslade Ward.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Good morning, Paul Richardson, Councillor for Monks Eaton North.
Thank you. Councillor Samuel.
Councillor Willie Samuel, Cullercoats Ward.
Thank you. Has Councillor Sterling joined us? And Councillor Wheatman.
Hello, I'm Frances Wheatman, Councillor for Hightmouth Ward.
Thank you. Also present online with us are the following officers, and I'll invite them to introduce themselves. Again, officers, after I call your name, could you please turn on your microphone and camera and introduce yourself? Julie Lawson.
Hello, Julie Lawson, Principal Officer in the Planning Department.
Thank you. Dave McCall.
Hi, I'm David McCall, Highways Officer.
Thank you. Claire Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. Claire Wilson, representing Environmental Health.
Tessa Crowe.
Good morning, Tessa Crowe, Legal Advisor.
Thank you. And Michael Robson.
Good morning, everyone. Michael Robson, Clerk of the committee.
Thanks very much for that. We've also got other officers joining the meeting to provide technical support and cover in the event of connections being lost. To ensure that the meeting runs smoothly, can I remind participants to please turn off your microphone and camera when you're not speaking. Only speak when invited to do so by me and activate your microphone and camera before speaking. If any member or officer wishes to speak, please use the hand raised button or alternatively the chat facility. If referring to any specific points in the report, please specify the page number. And finally, if any participant's connection to the meeting is lost, we'll adjourn the meeting for a short period of time to allow the connection to be restored. So we'll now move on to the agenda. Do we have any apologies for absence?
There are none, no.
Substitute, so therefore there are no substitute members.
No.
Can I invite any committee members who may have an interest that they would like to declare in relation to any items on the agenda to do so now, please?
Chair, can I just say,
Councillor Brady.
Councillor Brady.
Sorry, yes, Councillor Brady, go on.
Can I just say the one application we're reviewing this morning, it is in my ward, and I have received various messages and from constituents, but I asked to retain an open mind.
Fine, thank you very much for that. No other declarations of interest have been indicated, so can we move on to the minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of November? Can I take silence as an assent that they're a correct record? Thank you. Now move on to page 7, where officers outline the principles to guide members during the course of the meeting when determining applications. Can we receive that? And then we move on to item 6, which is an application regarding the Dorset Arms in Dorset Avenue. So, Julie, it's over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I've just started put up the presentation there, so hopefully you can see the presentation and you can hear me fine. The Dorset Arms is a large detached building located on Dorset Avenue in Wallsend. It's got a large area of hard standing parking area to the side and rear, which is accessed from Dorset Avenue. So this shows the Google image with the parking area around it. There's a residential dwelling at number 9 Dorset Avenue to the southwest, and to the rear are there's some rear gardens of residential dwellings which face onto the A186 Station Road. That's to the side northeastern boundary there. And beyond the rear boundary is a residential care home with its associated garden space. And the last use of the application site was as a public house with restaurant and hotel accommodation. There's just a 3D image of the premises, and the application is for the change of use of the site to a hotel, which is use class C1 with 14 bedrooms. And in order to accommodate the change of use, internal changes are proposed to the ground floor layout of the building. So if it just take us on, that's the existing ground floor layout, and you can see there that there's a bar, games area, function room and dining room. And that's the proposed ground floor layout. So the internal changes include the omission of the ground floor dining room, bar, games and function rooms and toilets, and the creation of 6 bedrooms with bathrooms on the ground floor and a reception, administration, breakfast area there and a staff room. And that's just the existing first floor, and that's the proposed first floor, because obviously there's hotel accommodation present in the building at the current time, and there's no external alterations proposed. Representations are set out in the agenda. We've had 9 objections from 6 separate addresses, and we've had 1 objection from the residential care home. And we've also had Councillor Andy Newman has asked for this application to go before Planning Committee. The main issue for members to consider are the principle of the proposed development, the impact on neighbouring amenity, the impact on the character and appearance of the surrounding area, and the impact on the highway network. First of all, in terms of the principle, the application site has previously operated as a public house and restaurant and has provided hotel accommodation for guests across 7 bedrooms on the first floor and 1 bedroom on the ground floor. It is understood that the premises stopped operating as a public house and restaurant as a result of the government lockdown in March, and since this time has focused solely on providing accommodation. The applicant has submitted a supporting statement which advises that he has decided to stop operation as a bar and to continue operating solely as a hotel. He has acknowledged that in recent years he has provided accommodation to guests booked in by the council, and on these occasions he has provided a hotel service to those people who require temporary accommodation. However, he has also advised that he has catered for guests from all over the world as well as contractors seeking reasonably priced accommodation. There have been concerns expressed by local residents regarding the use of the premises as a bail hostel. These are noted, but this is not what the applicant has now applied for. The current application must be considered based on the information submitted as part of the planning application. It's clear that the premises have provided hotel services for several years alongside the public house and restaurant uses, and the applicant can lawfully continue to operate in this way without any control from the local planning authority. The issue is whether the principle of the proposed change of use to a hotel with an additional 6 bedrooms is acceptable. Members need to determine whether the principle of the proposed change of use to a hotel operating under use class C1 is acceptable. An officer advises that the proposed change of use is acceptable. Whilst the application site is not within a designated town centre, it has long provided hotel accommodation for visitors to the region. In terms of impact on amenity, local residents are concerned that the application site has operated as a bail hostel, and a bail hostel does not fall within a defined use class, and it's therefore classed as sui generis. However, the application is for a hotel use, not a bail hostel. The applicant has been advised that if they wish to operate as a bail hostel or any kind of secure residential institution, that this would need a separate planning application. It is not unusual for hotels to offer short-term temporary accommodation to people in need. However, for this to remain lawful under the provisions of Use Class C1, which is for hotels, it must be offered as hotel accommodation. If an establishment was solely offering such accommodation and none or the majority of the occupants did not have a permanent residence elsewhere, it's likely that this would either be classed as a house of multiple occupation or a hostel, and these are not what have been applied for here. With regard to the impact of a hotel on the amenity of surrounding residents, this is considered to be acceptable. The proposal will see the removal of the public bar, games room and restaurant and an increase in the number of guest bedrooms. When compared to the existing offer of 8 guest bedrooms, it is not considered that an additional 6 guest bedrooms will result in such an increase in activity at the site in terms of noise and comings and goings that refusal could be justified. Officer advises therefore that, subject to conditions, these conditions would control the future occupancy to ensure that the rooms must not be used as a permanent sole residence and that the site must not operate as a bail hostel or secure residential institution. The installation of any new air conditioning and extract plant at the premises and control of the hours during which guests can use the external areas that the proposed hotel use is acceptable in terms of its impact on residential amenity. In terms of the impact on character and appearance, there's no external alterations proposed as part of the planning application. As such, the proposed change of use will not result in any harm to the character and appearance of the surrounding area. In terms of highways impacts, the applicant submitted the site plan just detailing parking. The council's highways network manager has recommended conditional approval of the application, noting that the access remains unchanged and parking has been provided to meet the needs of the development. So in conclusion, it's considered that the proposed development for a hotel is acceptable in terms of its impact on existing land uses, the amenity of existing residents and highway safety. And in the agenda, we set out that it was minded to grant subject to expiry of consultation. That consultation expired on the 11th of December, so the recommendation is now for approval. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Julie. I'm sure Julie's presentation has answered some of the queries members may have had, but nevertheless, can I invite members to ask further questions now? Councillor Graham.
Thank you, and thank you for that presentation, Julie. I just wanted to ask about the short-term basis. What in planning constitutes a short-term basis that people would be staying within the hotel? Because obviously this is a great concern to the residents living around, that it may be used as an HMO and may turn into that. And also, would it only be on a complaint that the majority of the occupants were staying there for longer that would then go through to planning enforcement, or is there any way of controlling the situation on a kind of an ongoing basis? Thank you.
Yes, just I mean, I set out obviously some of this in my presentation, but I just want to clarify. So in terms of the use classes order, we call C1 use class, that covers hotels and guest houses where no significant element of care is provided. And there's a separate use class which is not being applied for, which is called residential institutions. That's for people in need of care, so that covers things like, I guess, care homes, hospitals, nursing homes. But what's being applied for is a C1 hotel. And if it was a hostel, that's classed as sui generis, so that doesn't fall within any use class. And an HMO is a separate use class as well to a hotel. So what's being applied for is a hotel. Our enforcement officer has been investigating this site and asked for an application. In terms of where we are at the moment, the existing use, pre-March, when obviously we went into lockdown, the premises was used for hotel accommodation as well as bar and restaurant. Sometimes bars and restaurants are ancillary to the main use as a hotel, but we felt, given the mix of uses, it was probably more of a mixed use previously. And now the applicant wants to operate solely as a hotel, hence the need for a planning application. If the proposal was for a use as a hostel or an HMO, that would be a separate use class, and that would need planning consent. And we have proposed a condition, which is condition 16, which is on page 23 of your agenda, which basically sets out that it's a control condition in terms of the nature of the use. And there's no set definitions when a hotel becomes a hostel. It's a judgment that we would need to make on each basis. And when we investigate these types of enforcement complaints, it involves the enforcement officer going out and having a detailed look at how the premises is used, and just in great detail, just to see how the premises is used, and whether we believe a change of use has occurred from whatever previous use each particular case was to what it would now be used for. In this case, a hotel is applied for, so that is where it's not the person's main accommodation. So that's why we've set out in condition 16, it should only be used for a hotel and for no other purpose, and it shall not be occupied as any person's sole or main place of residence, obviously excluding the manager of the hotel. And we've asked for an up-to-date register of all guests and their main home addresses, subject to the GDPR legislation, to be made available if we ever need it. And yes, that would probably be if complaints were raised. But that's just on the basis. What the application does offer us is a means of controlling something, because obviously at the moment they can operate in their authorised way as a mixed-use hotel cum restaurant cum bar. So they could operate their existing bedrooms without the controls that we're proposing under this application as well. So I don't know if that's answered your question in quite a long-winded way.
What would be a short-term basis? Somebody staying in a hotel, would it be 2 weeks?
Because I mean, you get in some very posh hotels, don't you? I was thinking this. You get some people just live in hotels, don't they? But it's still a hotel because the majority of people there are using it as a hotel, like, you know, someone going on holiday would for a few days or a week or a fortnight. That would be a hotel. It's a judgment. So that's why there's nothing set out about how many days you can stop in it to make it a hotel. It would be for us to use our judgment on each case.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brady.
Thank you, Chair. I also wanted to ask that, so it's useful to know what the situation is in terms of enforcement in relation to its designation as a hotel. The other question that I have is, it's not really a planning matter, but I wondered if perhaps the legal officer could comment on what change. Presumably there has to be a change in licence as well in relation to sale of alcohol if this is no longer a public house.
I would presume so, and obviously I advise on planning legislation, so I can't really advise on the licensing aspect. I don't know if environmental health can assist with that. There will be processes that you do have to go through. I can't confirm what they will be in this committee, but I could find out and come back to you and confirm that in an email.
Okay, thank you very much.
And could that response be sent to all members, please? Councillor Samuel.
Yes, it will.
Just one short question, really, and it might be demonstrating my ignorance by asking this, but you Julie, used the term bail hostel and quite frequently. I don't actually follow what that term means. Could you explain, please?
I think we're just using it, I think, because I believe some of the representations that have been submitted have referred to use of the premises as a bail hostel. Let me just see. I think. I'm just reading over the representations. I think the bail hostel sometimes refers to people who've just come out of prison, basically. Right. And so okay. I think that was the allegation about people staying there, which is why we've sought to control the nature of the use as proposed as a hotel, to make sure it is as a hotel that we're granting permission for here. Okay,
it's probably then it might have been useful to actually see some of the representations rather than just have a summary in the report, which would have been more helpful just to see what it is that people are concerned about. Okay, thank you.
Okay, no one else has indicated that they wish to ask a question, so can I now invite comments from members, please? Okay, now, right, Councillor Brady.
Yes, Chair. I think the application as it stands, you know, we can't really, I don't think we can raise an objection. So provided that we have got enforcement in place to ensure that it is going to be used as a hotel. And I do have some concerns about the sale of alcohol, which obviously may be clarified further down the line, but I will be supporting the application.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Samuel, your hand's still up. Do you want to make a comment?
Yes, I mean, I have no reason to object to this application, but I am just echoing the concerns I made a little while ago. It would be useful to have seen a little bit more detail about the objections than we have, on that basis, as I say, I have no reason to object to the application. I'm just a little bit concerned we're not getting the story as to why people are concerned. Thanks.
Okay, can I just ask the officers, are people's objections published in full on the North Tyneside planning page, web page?
Hello, Chair. I was just going to go onto our planning portal website. Yes, obviously when I say the objections are summarised in the report, we do summarise them. Well, they're not. We set out quite in full, basically, what the representations are, and online it depends how you submit them online. But yes, the current application representations are online for viewing, and I was just going to get them up there, but it doesn't seem to be. My internet's running a bit slow there, but I'll just try again. Oh, here it's coming up now. I was just going to get it up just so I could give an example of what's online, but it's not coming up. But yes, yeah. Right. So we do summarise them very well in terms of our report. They're not heavily précised, so we do put make sure we've got comments in there from the public to demonstrate what they've said. But yes, comments can be read as well, in the public comments. So yes, they're all available for viewing.
Okay, thanks. Can I bring in Councillor Dark, please?
Thanks, Chair. I've got concerns about this, but I suppose as long as it's going to be looked at, you know, and if there's any concerns, it will be brought back. I'll reluctantly vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Graham.
Yes, Chair, I'm in the same position here. There's obviously been some activity at the site with police and hearsay that the proprietor has been paid by the probation service to take people in. I would just like things to be above board if people are going to offer accommodation to clients who are coming from the criminal justice system or whatever. And I would encourage residents, if they do have any problems, do get in touch with us, and planning enforcement or environmental health can investigate this fully in the future. So with reluctance, I will be supporting this application.
Right, thank you very much. No one else has indicated, and what I would like to say is let us all be very clear. We have been asked for, and it looks as if we're going to grant an application for a hotel. If the sort of activity that's been referred to continues into the future, which has been going on in the past, then there will be action taken. So we are judging this application on its own merits, and we've been asked to agree, subject to the conditions set out in the planning officer's report, that this hotel application be approved. So if we're clear on that, Michael, can I ask you to conduct the roll call for the vote, please?
Okay, so the recommendation is that the application is permitted subject to the conditions set out in the report. Councillor Brady?
4.
Councillor Burdis?
4.
Councillor Dark,
4.
Councillor Graham,
4.
Councillor Green,
4.
Councillor Lott,
4.
Councillor Richardson,
4.
Councillor Samuel,
4.
and Councillor Wheatman.
4.
That's unanimous, 9 votes to none.
Right, thank you very much for that. And I think it's also worth noting councillors' reservations in how they voted there, but we have to deal with what's placed in front of us. So can I thank you all very much. That concludes the business of today's meeting. So thanks for your attendance, your contributions and your questions. Cheerio. Oh, and Merry Christmas.